Hello, this is Chaplain Paul. I've been serving in long-term care ministry for 15 years. I'm classified as a Christian volunteer community chaplain, serving in long-term care ministry for over 15 years on and off, uh, and a healthcare activist for close to 30 years. Uh, and I received a phone call the other day from a surveyor from the Arizona Long-Term Care Licensing Department, and she was investigating a complaint that I had made in the facility where Pastor Ken and I go. And I said, "Oh, okay. When was that complaint?" And she informed me. She apologized for the delay and said it was 2020. The complaint was made in 2020. Here it is 5 years later. The Arizona Long-Term Care Licensing Department is charged with protecting the safety and well-being of our loved ones. Uh, Waiting more than a week can be fatal for them to respond. Waiting more than sometimes 2 days can be fatal when we're dealing with situations, life and death situations in these facilities. 5 years is disgraceful. Our tax dollars uh, demand that this be investigated and fixed. If the caseload is uh, uh, too congested because of there's so many complaints, then the legislature needs to create a mechanism that these complaints could be investigated, sifted through, and facilitated in a timely manner. Uh, so my response to her was, well, the patients that I filed that complaint on their behalf, the patients that filed that complaint for on their behalf are long since dead. They died of neglect, abuse, and mistreatment in these facilities. And I said, her department is disgraceful. Here it is 5 years later, and now you're responding. It's absolutely disgraceful. I told her, I said, there are patients waiting all night long in these facilities to be changed. Patients neglected, abused, and horribly mistreated. The food being served is mostly unhealthy processed pig slop. The conditions are horrific. No patient should have to wait more than 20 minutes to be changed. And I'll tell you what, there's federal laws that already exist, federal laws that already exist that say patients should be changed and cared for in a timely manner, that patients shouldn't live in fear of being abused, neglected, or mistreated, that there are laws that are federal already exist that protect our loved ones from abuse, neglect, and mistreatment, and they're being ignored. They're not being enforced in the state of Arizona. There's no mechanism of enforcement. The way our system works is somebody has to file a complaint. And after they file a complaint, uh, then a surveyor may come out on site to do an investigation. May. Uh, if they file a complaint with the Arizona Adult Protective Services, then the uh, then someone will come out, write a report. It goes over to the Arizona Long-Term Care Licensing Department. If somebody files a complaint with the Arizona Long-Term Care Ombudsman, then they file a report and it goes over to the Long-Term Care Licensing Department, which is most likely downgraded, dismissed without any investigation unless you really put your foot down. So I then told her, I said, I'm the guy that gets the phone call when patients are waiting hours to be changed and they're in agony. I'm the guy that gets the phone call when they're mistreated, manhandled, abused, treated rudely. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that gets the call when they wind up in ICU uh, because things like E. coli, MRSA, bed sores, rashes, infections, bloody blisters, and other very serious complications that land them in ICU and straight in the grave. I'm the guy that holds their hand. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that talks to their wife, their widows, their family members, during these horrors and after. I'm the guy. You're not having to deal with this. Our elected officials don't have to deal with this. Your assistants take the calls. You don't get the calls directly at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You're not getting any calls at that time. I get the calls. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? There needs to be public hearings that address this issue. There needs to be public hearings that rein in these department heads and that examine why there's a failure from the top down. This whole system has failed. Okay. This is Sunday, November 26th. This whole system has failed. Graphic stories of patients being beaten and raped and murdered by abusive staff and by other mentally ill, violent patients. Not just one story, a series of stories. All right. This was a year after the Arizona Audit General uh, did an audit of our health services. It was uncovered in that audit that there was hundreds and hundreds of very serious complaints of sexual and physical abuse committed against Arizona long-term care patients. Hundreds and hundreds of very serious complaints of sexual and physical abuse that were downgraded, dismissed without any investigation. Downgraded, dismissed without any investigation. There's been no accountability at all. There needs to be public hearings to rein in these department heads. In that audit, on page 14, read it. On page 14, there's recommendation for the legislature to create a task force to hold our health services accountable. It still hasn't been implemented yet. There's other reforms in that audit that have not been implemented yet. Here it is 3 years later. Come visit some of these places. Go visit any number of long-term care facilities in Phoenix. Go walk the halls. Don't tell them who you are. Just go in and say you're scoping it out for a family member or a friend, and go take a look. Talk to the patients, family members, and then ask yourself: is that how you want to be treated, or someone you love when it's your turn? I don't have much time here. Uh, you know, Martin Luther King, he once said, a man dies when he doesn't stand up for what's right. A man dies when he doesn't stand up for truth. A man dies when he doesn't stand up for justice. And that's the truth. We die on the inside. And he said, yes, when you do that, you risk ridicule, censorship, you risk chastisement, you risk great loss, you risk possible jail time, imprisonment, and death. He said, but it's better to go through life with a scarred up body than go through life with a scarred up soul, having done very little or nothing to help improve the safety and quality of care in this world. Help to relieve suffering, standing up to justice, standing up for what's right, standing up for truth. This is what he says. Are we going to listen to what he says or just toss it off into the gutter and say, well, that was then, this is now, and we do what we want? I've been doing this a long time, all voluntary. I'm classified as a Christian community chaplain serving in long-term care ministry for over 15 years, and I've been a healthcare activist for over 30 years. Right? Uh, I'm not doing this because for a hobby. I'm not doing this because I got nothing better to do. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to build up my brownie buttons because I'm going to run for office someday. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing this because I love the patients and family members who are going through a living hell in these facilities, and nobody is speaking out in their defense. Google go to ChatGPT and ask that thing to provide you a short list of federal laws that protect long-term care patients, and you'll be shocked. We're protected under the Civil Rights Act of 1962, under the Constitution, the 14th and 9th Amendment, just to name two of them. We're protected under patients' rights, civil rights, human rights, and they're being violated every day. There's no mechanism in our state to make sure that these patients' rights are being protected. No state agencies going in nights or weekends. where there's far more cases of neglect, abuse, and mistreatment. No state agency is going in there to walk those halls. Well, it needs to be created. Our task force, made up of one state official, one RN, two CNAs, to go in there and walk those halls, randomly check the patients for neglect, abuse, and mistreatment, for things like bed sores, MRSA, um, rashes, infections, bloody blisters, bruises, and other forms of neglect, abuse, and mistreatment. And when they find such evidence, they have to have they need to be given the power to fine, charge, and arrest staff and uh, and owners. Not what we have now. Oh, I'm sorry, there's not enough staff. I'm sorry, we're trying. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry is not good enough. Our loved ones are not being protected under the law. The laws already exist. It is the responsibility of our state officials to conduct public hearings, town hall meetings, to address this issue, and drag in these call subpoena the owners and staff, and have patients and family members, if they're too far away or too sick to come in person, to do it by Zoom and testify, and have public hearings, and get experts in here to create a plan that's going to better protect our loved ones. Why isn't it happening? Why? Right? I'm the guy that holds their hand, takes the calls, talks to their widows, talks to their family members. I'm the guy that sheds 1,000 tears. I'm the guy whose heart has been broken a million times because I love these people. You don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal with the phone calls. Your staff takes the calls. You don't have to deal with the heartbreak and misery and loneliness. You don't have to deal with the abandonment, the torment. You don't have to deal with it. A CNA pops their head in the door after a patient's been waiting 2 hours to be changed. They say they'll be back in 15 minutes. They don't come back for another 2 hours. The next time you're sick and miserable with the flu, you're sick and miserable. Go buy some Depends diapers, crap in them just after dinner, lay in it all night long, and have a rude SOB come and change you the next morning. Not only that, have a manhandle you, toss you around like a rag doll, be rude to you, and not fully clean you. And see how you like that, because this is happening every day, 1,000 times over every day in our state. State only comes in when you file a complaint. If you're all alone and you don't have the mental capacity or the physical capacity to file a complaint, okay, then they don't come in. So if a patient can't file a complaint, then how are they protected under the law? They're not. That's why you need a team that is created by the governor under the jurisdiction of the attorney general, and to go in there and randomly check the patients for abuse, neglect, and mistreatment. That's what you need to do. You need to realize that it's not about you. It's not about your career. It's not about your power. It's not about your ego. It's about you are elected to do a job, and that job is to make sure laws are enforced and our loved ones are protected, and it's not happening. Again, there needs to be public hearings concerning this. There needs to be town hall meetings. There needs to be real reforms, and the reforms that are in the Arizona the Audit General's audit of 2002, those reforms, and I urge you to read page 14, those reforms need to be implemented to protect our loved ones. You say, well, there's not enough staff. Well, you know what? There's a provision there's a program that's in the state budget that calls for training up caregivers. Fund that program, fund it with millions of dollars, train up state caregivers, put them into these facilities, make it law that each facility has to have a certain amount of these caregivers, at least 10, okay? And have them go in there and have them take up the slack and be the eyes and ears for the state that will help to hold these places accountable. That's a very easy fix. There's no chaplains in these facilities. They're not required. They're required in hospitals and they're required in prisons, but not in long-term care. Take the law that already exists, put chaplains, get us in there. Okay. The food is unhealthy processed pig slop. It has a negative effect on our physical health, mental health. There needs to be good grade A food served in these facilities. The statute needs to be changed back. The legislature changed the statute. So now long-term care lawsuits are no longer being awarded attorney's fees. You take the attorney's fees out of the equation, no attorney's going to take a case for basic abuse, neglect, and mistreatment because there's not enough money in it. Back in the day, you could sue if you get a bed sore or if you get, E. coli, MRSA, bed sores, rashes, infections, bloody blisters. You could actually sue, get 10 or 20 grand plus attorney's fees. Attorney's fees could be 40 or 50 grand that were awarded by the state. If not, nobody's going to take the case. So it's a green light for misery for these poor people. Okay, so I'm going to put the videos, the hearings that I testified at. I urge you to watch that. I urge you to read the Arizona Audit General's audit, especially page 14, and get those reforms implemented. There's no reason why they shouldn't be. When you have when you have an audit of an agency that's clearly failed, this whole system has failed. This is about an 83-year-old woman who was raped in the bed, raped while sick and suffering. Got up enough strength to crawl on the floor, got to where the staff is, the staff office, and she couldn't get in. She was too weak to knock on the door. She had to go write a note, slide it through the door. This is the best we can do. Patients being raped and beaten to death, sexually abused, and there's little or no accountability. These are our parents, our grandparents, our children, our grandchildren. Because, yes, they get in accidents. Yes, they have health problems. They develop health problems. They OD on drugs and everything else. And they wind up in these facilities and are treated like animals. So again, you weren't elected to look the other way. You were elected to do a job and protect our loved ones and make sure laws are being enforced and make sure these department heads are doing their job and make sure that when it's our turn that we're treated with respect and love and dignity in a safe, affordable facility and not to sit there in fear and have to look at every little medication and make sure there's no medical mistakes, live in fear that we're going to have to wait hours to be changed, live in fear that if we speak out in defense of other patients that they're going to withhold our medication. I've seen it. Okay, so are we going to address these issues or continue to keep our heads in the sand? Okay, again, Martin Luther King said, a man dies when he doesn't stand up for what's right. A man dies when he doesn't stand up for truth. A man dies when he doesn't stand up for justice. All right. So are we going to place service above self and reaching out and helping others for the glory of God? Are we going to address this issue or just continue to turn our back? That's my message. Okay. I'm outraged. I filed complaint after complaint after complaint, only to get a letter a month later that says, after a thorough investigation, there's not enough evidence to substantiate my allegations. Let's go down to the graveyard. Let's talk to the widows. Let's have hearings. I'm the guy. I'm the guy out here every day fighting for these people. The question is, what are you doing? Are you going to be a, a link in a long chain of misery and do nothing or little or nothing but lip service? Or are you going to be a key that unlocks the chain and frees these poor people from neglect, abuse, and mistreatment? The choice is yours. You go down in history when you get voted out of office or resign or go and do other things. Are you going to be remembered as just another link in a long chain of misery, heartache, neglect, abuse, mistreatment, loneliness, abandonment, greed, lies, tears? You're going to be remembered as a link, or do you want to be remembered as a key? Someone who had the courage to step up, fight back, and at least make an effort so that when it's our turn, we're treated humanely in a safe and affordable environment. Have a blessed day, and remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.